And hello out there
Welcome back.
to the Future Neighbor podcast. This is Daniel.
This is Katie. Oh, I'm not listening myself.
Oh, you got to put it in your
I don't
ears. Come on, Katie, get it together.
Well, I'm not on my sane mind right now.
Yeah, Katie, as she puts her earbuds in, she had a little accident at the climbing today.
Yeah, I had a minor injury.
Can you hear yourself?
Yeah.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so please explain.
But I'm so embarrassed to say because it's like I didn't even fall from like the top. I literally fell from the first hold you step on. But I fell in a wrong way. So like my ankle, I sprained my ankle, right ankle. And then I heard the sound, duduk. As I was falling, I literally thought I broke my bone.
So to set some context, right now, Katie just comes up to me while I was working on a problem. And she goes, Opa, I'm stuck.
I'm in a slump.
I'm in a slump. And so I was like, all right, come on, let me help you out. And so
Yeah, I wasn't in a great mode to start with too, because
Yeah.
I was feeling really frustrated.
Yeah.
I feel like I hit this moment where I'm not progressing, and then I don't know, I kind of like, that's really like kind of doesn't help with your motivation.
Yeah, so we went to go look at her problem. Did I just kick your foot? I'm so sorry. You have to move your foot to the right. You can't have it right in front of me. Oh my God. So that's how I know you really didn't hurt it, because I just whacked it and you didn't say anything.
It was my left foot.
Oh, okay. You better hide that other one. I'm going to kick you real good later. Sorry, guys. Let me just readjust my seat while I'm looking at her feet. Okay. Coast is clear. Yeah, so long story short, she couldn't finish hers, and there was a fun red problem. Like, I think the difficulty is different by gym, but for us, above red is what? There is the
Like
brown,
level, yeah.
and then there's black, right? So it's like the third most difficult are the reds, right?
Kind of in the middle, I think.
No, blue, the ones I finished now, and then the red I just moved on to. Red is now on the upper end, but still not near, like. Long story short, Katie's way in over her head, but she thinks I'm trying to do this beginning hold where you have to throw a heel hook and grab. She just thought it was fun or something.
I did.
Yeah. So she goes and she throws heel hooks and she just falls. She does it 2 or 3 times. And then the last one, I just hear this.
I fell to the floor, but I couldn't stand up because, like, in my mind, literally, my joint got disconnected.
Yeah, I think she thought her foot disconnected from her body. And I was like, wait.
I couldn't move it.
Well, because I've gone through a fair number of injuries in the past through tennis and stuff. So I was like, let me look at that ankle. And I just like, no, you can't. It hurts too much. I was like, just let me take a quick peek. Just to see where it's at. Because if you sprained it, first of all, there's going to be you'll see little dots of blood because the blood vessels that popped on the inside.
Yeah.
And they'll quickly start swelling up.
Yeah.
And I just like, okay, do I see any specks or anything? I look. Guys, it's just beautiful.
Nothing?
It's pristine. Nothing. And I that's why I tapped it like this, right? And you're like, it's ticklish.
No, you're making up.
Okay, I did that a little bit later. Right?
Yeah.
And you're like,
but the pain was there. I couldn't lift my leg. I couldn't stand up.
yeah. So the staff is like, what happened? What happened? Where did she fall from? And I was like, that first step right there. And she was like, oh.
No, but she was so nice. She said it doesn't matter how high you fall from. You can still lead to severe injuries.
That's what we call
that made me feel better.
That staff member has emotional intelligence.
Yeah, she has the emotional empathy.
Empathy, EQ 100.
Yeah. So as soon as that happened, I moved to this a seat.
And the guys cleared out
Yeah.
When the Shaq was playing for Lakers, and then there's one match where he's trying to grab a ball that's going out of bounds, and then all the people on the bench clear out because Shaq is diving for it.
Yeah.
When you were coming, all the guys moved out the way, and I was just like, that just reminded me of it for a second. Anyway, but they were so nice, courteous, and
then
everyone was kind of like, what's going on? She looked at the legs, but I looked and it's just, guys, just nothing. Little bit of swelling. So we got an ice pack on it.
Yeah. It was quite swollen.
And then all of a sudden, like Katie's eyes were like, oh my God, this has never happened to me. I was like, Katie, calm down. You're going to be all right. I think your mental is making you this feel more painful than your actually body is perceiving.
Yeah, because I literally thought I broke my bone. I did because of that cracking sound that happened.
Yeah.
And then like my mind went blank for a second.
Well, it's good. I'm happy nothing has happened.
Yeah, and I've been like letting it rest and a lot of like ice packet. So now it feels much better. It's been around like 3 hours now.
Yeah. You'll be all right, Katie.
Yeah. Did you have like major injuries? Like during high school or middle school or your adult life?
I've never broken a bone.
Oh.
But I've had I've rolled my ankles quite a lot. Once you roll your ankle, it's a lot easier.
That's why you keep rolling your ankles all the time. When we're just like walking on the street, like we're just dating, he always like
my ankles don't just pop out and roll, Katie.
It does. And then like you know, because we're holding hand, and then like he suddenly goes, oh! And then I'm like, oh my God, what happened? It always scares me.
I don't know why that happens. That is strange. I think, I don't know. I'll be walking and then all of a sudden, like, my ankle will kind of pop out and then I'll lose my balance. And the kid will be like, what's going on? I'll be like, and then I'll have to make some excuses. Like, I think the pavement is uneven. It's like, it's the same.
All the excuses you are making.
Yeah. No, just seeing you like getting iced, it just reminded me of the days when I used to train for tennis. Like when I was in starting from junior high up to high school, I used to play tennis very competitively. Like was locally ranked in California. I wasn't never nationally ranked, but yeah, tennis was a very big part of my life because remember in previous episodes I talked about being a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
And part of like the program when I was young was my mom dropping me off at a place called, actually it's gone, but there used to be a private tennis club called Sunny Hills Racquet Club. And for anyone who lives in Fullerton back in the 90s, you'll probably know. It was next to the Del Taco. And there used to be a Blockbuster there. Of course, Blockbuster went out of business. But then actually, sorry, the owner of that Sunny Hills Racquet Club was a Chinese man. But then he sold it off and then they built duplexes or apartments there. So it's no longer there. But that was like a big part of my junior high to high school years because my mom would drop me off there. Yeah. And I basically would spend 8 hours there.
8 hours?
Yeah.
A day?
Yeah. And then in the summers, I would just spend the whole day there.
Oh.
Yeah. And so
you were preparing to become an athlete.
Yeah. Because like school would end like at, I don't know, 3. Well, okay, sorry, it's not 8 hours. I think it was more close to 6 hours, from 3 to 9, because I would do like the afternoon sessions, like training, and then I had the night sessions as well. So and then you take a break. So,
so pretty intensively you were training.
Yeah, like tennis was a very big part of my identity, and like I took pride in like in sports. And there was just this thing back in the 90s when tennis was it was kind of known as this culture changes, by the way, like what's cool and what's like, right now it's like really the young generation is like really woke and like you have to be like so like politically correct on everything. That's kind of the sentiment. Oh no, this is what I was gonna say. Yeah, like tennis was like known as a very sissy sport. Like it's for sissies. like real men play like basketball, where like they never got the attention from mainstream media.
Oh, that's so funny because that's totally different sentiment. Like in the UK, tennis is such a mainstream sport. Oh,
because they have the Wimbledon.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing if you can play tennis really well. Like everybody has like interest in it.
Yeah, but my dad liked tennis, so he used to train me when I was very young. And so I would always get very happy when I saw like tennis getting like not mainstream attention, but more attention from like ESPN, and like when we would have like cool, I think back then it was like the Andre Agassi and Sampras times. Do you know any of these players, Katie?
Oh, I know Raphael.
Nadal.
Yeah.
Nadal is way recent.
And Federer.
Yeah.
Roger Federer.
Yeah, back then he wasn't even.
Oh, okay.
It used to be like Agassi's backhand versus
Okay.
Sampras's serve and volley, and these epic games.
I think that's before I was born.
I was always rooting for the sport of tennis to get more acceptance from my peers as like a very cool sport.
Yeah.
But within that like training place, it was ultra competitive with my, like, this was before I got into high school. And so like my friends from junior high that were into tennis,
Yeah.
we were so competitive with each other. Ultra competitive. Like we just spent 8 hours there. And so like we memorized each other's like serving habits. We knew who would, like.
So were you doing singles?
Yeah, it was all singles, but my ego was tied to like who you can beat, and like who's beating you, who's taking sets off of you, who's like way above you. And I knew myself on the pecking order. And I was telling you in the car that thinking back on this tennis, I was thinking about just the strange coaches. Like, remember I was telling you one that, actually I shouldn't say their names, but there was one black coach, and he was a little bit of a horn dog, a little bit of a little pervert. So like he would always.
Is it okay to say that?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm sure. Yeah. And then he would just be so horny all the time. And anytime there would be like young girls that would come to learn, like during his clinic sessions, he would always go, Daniel, serve out wide, do a kick serve out wide, like so I could see their panties. And I was like, what? But I was so young, and he was so like scary. So I'd be like, okay. He's like, that's a slice. I said kick the serve out wide.
What does that even mean?
So
is the coach behind the girl?
We're playing doubles, and then if I do a kick serve, the ball kicks out wide, so you have to really stretch to get the ball because it's gonna spin out.
That's so wrong.
It's very perverted, right? So I don't know why I remember that, because I remember I was kind of traumatized by that statement. But he was like, "Yeah," and that's how
innocent Daniel.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, "Oh my gosh, these coaches are." I was so young, right? It's so weird, right? But every time he would see me, he would always do kick serve out wide, and then he would go, "'Cause you know why, Danny boy." Or at that time, like the Karate Kid was quite popular, and so he always goes, "Daniel-san, kick out wide."
Oh my god!
And then we had. I'm just describing the personas, guys. And then we had one guy who was an ex-bodybuilder.
Oh, it's also another coach?
Another coach.
Wow.
There used to be like 6 coaches there that were running all the clinic sessions and training the people who wanted to try to go into amateur and, collegiate. And so this guy was an ex, man, this is bringing me so much joy thinking about all these coaches. Because now I'm at their age, right? They're like 30s. Well, the other guy was like 40s. But every time I would go into the restroom, he would be like pumping iron. Right? I think he was on steroids for sure. And then he goes like, because they want to mess around with the kids. He's like, Daniel, come here. Can you do this with your boobs? And then what he would do is, I'll show you to right now. He'd grab his hands. And then, how I do this sometimes, right?
The one that I really don't like.
Where you shake your pecs.
Don't do that. It's so nasty.
I can move my left pec up, my right pec up and down. But he was a bodybuilder, right?
Is this like a pride thing by guys?
No. But I learned that from him. That's why I did that.
Oh my gosh, you learn such bad things.
And then he'd be like, look at the control. And his like left boob would go up, but his right boob would go down, and they would do it the other way. And I was like,
is that a skill?
Yeah, because his pecs were so defined. He's one of my other coaches. He's this Jewish guy, and he had a very beautiful wife, but his wife, he would always complain, and he goes like, Daniel, I fought with my wife. And I was like, why?
I can't believe you were actually having like a conversation on it like
It's
that.
funny because, like, you know, when you're hanging out with younger kids, your maturity drops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, he would never say that to his peers, but like, he's with young kids all the time. So he just talks casually and lets his guard down. And I'd be like, why, coach? And he'd be like, Daniel, my thingy doesn't work. And I'll be like, what thing? He's like, my boys, the sperm, it doesn't work. I'm too old. And I'll be like, why? He's like, I can't have kids. My wife is going to leave me. He's like, I've been trying so much. And then like, he would always have this like pent up anger.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then sometimes his wife would come, and there would always be a clubhouse where you can order food, and she would come down because this was a private club. It's pretty expensive. And so she would always order like a glass of wine and then just watch her husband teach the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would always have this very like, maybe because I was young, but she would always had a very sexy voice. She'd be like, Ronnie, are you down? Oh, I just said his name. But anyway, are you stupid me. He's like, are you done yet? Come on, honey, let's go. He would always go, Daniel, let's go. Pick up those balls quickly, let's go. I need to go home. Tonight is the night. Like, oh man. And is this kind of fun talking about all these personas?
Yeah,
so
it's funny,
right?
because like had he known that you were gonna remember it up until now,
yeah,
he wouldn't have said it.
Because I remember the day he did finally get success and
had a baby.
Well, I heard later that he got his wife pregnant and they were expecting a child. So I was really happy for him. But then he would always smoke weed too. Like I introduced my coach. No, not me. No, I was not smoking at that time or ever actually. What am I saying?
What are you saying?
I don't know. This something is weird. My mind is racing, but
say the truth.
No. I was never into really smoking. Partially because being an athlete, you take pride in being competitive, and like smoking, and that was just not like a cool thing to do. So, but yeah, why I was laughing was that coach that I had, like he needed more money. So I introduced him to one of my friends, and my friends decided to take tennis lessons from him. But the coach would come up to me and say, like, Daniel, you introduced one shitty friend. He can't hit the ball to save his life. He's like, your friend is retarded or something. So back then we used the word retarded a lot. Later he told me he would just smoke weed before the class so that he can endure how bad my friend was. And that he would always be high when he was teaching, but he was like functioning when he was high.
Yeah.
And he would always teach.
Yeah.
And so
that's funny.
Then we would have this other guy who would string the tennis rackets. He was like an assistant coach, but one of his pinkies were cut off in an accident.
Oh my God.
So he had like we always made fun of him though, because we were young and we were just like dumb.
And he didn't mind.
No, we just loved his reaction.
Oh.
Because he would throw stuff at us and then but he was so mild mannered. So like all of us would try to like kind of nudge him to see when he would explode.
Oh my God.
And we used to call him like, hi, Nubby. And he'd be like, guys, I told you, if you call me that again, you guys are going to be in trouble. And we'd be like, all right. But we had also a receptionist. And this receptionist, she was I think she was in her 50s, elderly American lady. And I think she was kind of stuck up in the kind of Hollywood style of living.
Yeah.
Because she would get Botox all the time. I didn't even know what Botox was, but one of my coaches would tell me, and she goes, hey, guess what, Daniel? Look at the receptionist. You see her forehead can't move? That's when I learned about Botox, because her expression would always be the same.
Oh.
Yeah. I would always buy cookies. There was like this big cookies in a jar, and I would always reach in to try to get one for free.
Yeah.
And she'd always goes, Daniel, you know how much that costs. We're on the honor system here. And I'm like, but I'm going to pay next week. And she already knows I've already had like 10 for free, but she just let me go. And then the last thing before I move on was there were some kids that were training to go like professional. And one of these really talented girls, she was this black girl, and I was really cool with her. She was much older than me. She was like trying to break into the circuit, professional circuit. And
you were close to her?
No, I mean, she just, we train at the same clinic. So I'm
Oh,
always
okay.
bumping into her, but it's not like the age gap was probably like 15 years already, right? So she's much
okay.
older. But she was from Compton and her dad was like a gang member,
Oh.
but she was so good. It's kind of like the Serena Williams story. And way later in life, she played Serena Williams.
Really?
Yeah, in a professional tournament.
Did
But
you see that match?
yeah.
Oh, what?
Oh, no, I didn't watch it live. But
Oh,
then I
later.
heard about the results and she won one set and she
Oh.
was close to win two. And that would have changed her life.
Oh.
Yeah, but she wasn't. Yeah, but then, yeah.
It
but-
must have felt so strange to see like that friend,
Yeah.
that video.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was awesome. And she was like the most awesome girl. But anyway, the reason I say that was she loved watching BET, which is like Black Entertainment Television. It's like a MTV, but
Yeah.
for hip hop. And like, she really like got me comfortable with like, because I secretly liked hip hop.
Yeah, secretly.
Yeah, because like that was when I first listened to Snoop Dogg's first album,
Yeah.
I think Doggy House. Yeah. When I was listening to a CD, she's like, "Hey, what you listening to?" And she popped it open. She's like, "Oh, you listen to Snoop Dogg? You like hip hop?" And then she would like flip the channel for me because I was too scared because the receptionist was watching like, I don't know, Good Morning LA or something like The View or something similar.
Oh, she's so cool.
And she was like, "Hey, I'm gonna change it to that." And then back then they would play the music video,
yeah.
and like she would just be like so free, and then she'd be like, "Daniel, let's dance." I'd be like, "Oh yeah." So you wanna roll? And so that like, I don't know, that brought me so much joy, because like that was my way in to connect with like other people, and like she'd be like, "Hey Daniel, there's a new song. Hey, Tupac's out, California Love." And before we were playing sets, and we just go like that, and like. Yeah, it was like really fun.
It's like how you come together.
Yeah, and then there was another one of her friends who was a Jamaican guy who's trying to go pro too, like straight from Jamaica. And she kind of liked my sister. He kind of liked my sister because my sister came to train just a little bit, and he'd be like, "Hey Daniel, who's that?" And I'd be like, "That's my sister." And then he'd be like, "Let me talk to her." Sorry, this is a terrible Jamaican accent, but he would give me a hard time always. He's like, "I think your sister is cute. What do you think about that?" And I'd be like, "Dude, man, that's my sister." And then he would just laugh. He's just like pulling my leg, But there was just this communal sense, and that's where I lived.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
It was really fun. It was like my home. But then things started to get a little bit political because like I didn't have that much money, so I couldn't keep paying for these like afternoon and night sessions. So I had another friend, my friend. The one that lives in Texas.
Yeah.
So that friend, I think he too was having like struggles paying for it. So we'd be like, "Hey, let's play each other." Because we would play like best out of 3, best out of 5 sets.
Yeah.
And then we kind of realized the value, like, hey, these clinics, they're not that helpful for us. We're improving just playing each other all the time, right?
Yeah.
So then I started talking to other kids. I'm like, "Hey, we're putting a little group together, little around. Let's play each other." And it seems to get better. But then the coaches got pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're like, "Hey," because we pay for the monthly thing, so we can go there anytime we want. But since we're not paying for those lessons, they would keep harassing us, being like, "Hey, if you're not going to come to the clinic, go to the in court." And they would make us like walk and play at the very end so we can't influence other kids to not start paying for those lessons.
Yeah.
But we got very close, and yeah, there was just a lot of like good memories from trying to like beat the system and
Yeah. So you were in the varsity team?
Varsity came easy. Like went to varsity freshman. Actually, my nickname in high school was the freshman sensation. Oh, even I get little like what do you call that? Like, oh, I feel awkward saying. I feel goosebumps even calling myself that too. But I think at our high school, there wasn't people who were like training that hard and then coming to high school. I think we were like the first wave of like that kids who had been training privately. And so by the time we hit high school, it was already like bringing it to the next level.
I see.
And then it really, But then those friends that I trained with, they went to a different high school and I broke off And I think I was on the bottom of that totem pole. So they were better. So I had this like chip on my shoulder that I by myself am going to help my school beat that rival school where all the other 3 kids who I was really close with that were better than me went.
Yeah.
And we ended up winning, I think. I think it's called CIF in California, but we won, I think, yeah, we won 3 rings.
That's amazing.
But all the amount of rivalry and the tension when we played each other, it was, people describe football games in that tension.
Yeah.
Tennis is so personal. And like, we'd be like cursing at each other and like we know each other's play style. And so like, I could still feel it was like I could feel it right now. But I lost that competitive drive though.
Yeah, for a good reason though. Imagine if you kept having that competitive drive. But we have some connection because in my school we played tennis too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really wanted to join the team because it looks so cool. Like it's in England, it's like a cool thing. And then I got into the junior varsity team. Yeah. But I never made it to the varsity. So at the back of my mind, I'll be like so, I don't know, looking up to those like girls who are in the varsity. They look so cool.
Yeah.
The thing is like it's really funny because when I first moved to the UK, and then when I first had my PE class, I was just like so amazed at how athletic all these kids around my age were. Yeah. Because we never played any sport at school in Korea at that time. Like I finished elementary school in Korea, but we didn't do any sport at all. Only guys will play like soccer during lunchtime. What,
the girls don't have any?
Never.
Like, there's no PE, or
we have PE class, but we do just stretching and maybe like hula hoops or no proper sport. And also, if you go to like say Korean schools, even now there isn't enough space for you to like engage in any kind of like sports activities. So the only kind of sports that I did and I actually had pride in was running. Because like, in Korea, we used to have like in every fall, there's like a 운동회. So the entire school will come together for a day of like just celebration and sports together. So like if you're in elementary school, they also invite your family, your parents to come, and your parents will like do some like, like casual sports together. Yeah. And then the highlight of that event, of that day, is a relay. Is that how you call it? It's like a relay, running in relay. Like they select like a few people from each grade. Yeah. And then from the lowest to the highest grade, you do a relay together with the baton.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
The baton, yeah.
Yeah. And then I used to be quite good at running by this school standard. So I would always get selected to do the running on that day. And then I would do pretty well. So I kind of had quite a lot of pride in my running, and I thought I was quite good. Yeah. And then I come here, and then I think like the first month or something, we do a running together, and then our teacher is actually timing us, and like in England. Yeah. And then I'm just like, I get so surprised because these girls with like maybe twice the length of my legs are like running like a Tarzan. And I'm like, oh wow, this is like opened up a whole new world to me. It's like a level just I cannot compete.
It's like a goldfish went to the ocean.
I know, it was literally like that. It was like a moment of awakening, and I realized, oh, okay, so this is the end of my running career.
I had the same awakening when, for my tennis, I was playing this tournament that was a very important one. And I think at that time, there was like the college recruiters were coming to check out high school, like players. And tennis, the scores, right? I don't know what set number it was. It might have been like best of 3, 2-1 or something. But I remember I was up and I had match point. I was like 5-2, like game 5-2, 40-15, something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember my parents were watching, and this was a rival that I had lost to in a prior tournament, but I had him, and he threw up because I like to come to the net, and he threw up a lob, and I just remember that I wanted to finish this game in a very like just grandeur sense, like bam, and hit that thing and
Triumph.
and like smash the ball so that it bounces once and goes over the fence, and just be like, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like triumphant finish.
Yeah.
Are you not entertained? Like, but what I ended up happening was I whiffed the ball. I swung at it, but it hit the side of my racket, and it whiffed.
Oh no!
Basically, I choked. And then what is it at? From 40-15, now it's at 40-30. And then I remember I double faulted. So it's deuce.
Deuce.
I just got into a mental meltdown. I was like, I can't believe I just lost. The first one, all I had to do was just hit it back. Done. I would have won. It's damn hot. Everyone is watching. You feel it when you're the last person on the court. You know, all the other done, they're finished. Double faulted. How can you double fault?
My God.
You know, I served it, and then he won the next point. And then he ended up taking the game. And then a completely mental broke down. I was still sulking. Remember I used that word sometimes?
Yeah.
Katie, I was like, Katie, stop sulking.
Yeah.
That's because I heard it from my coach so much. Daniel, stop fucking sulking. You piece of... Like, back then, they cursed a lot. You piece... Come on, get it together, son.
Get it together.
Get it together. I'm like, I am if you stop talking to me. Like, tennis is intense. If you go to those amateur games, a lot of cursing, a lot of racket smashing. It's like when you see like pro tennis players, those are the ones that have like the mental fortitude, and they've gone through, like the kids that have weak mental, they never make it past even the collegiate level. I never even made it to the collegiate level. I knew long story short, I ended up losing that entire set, and then the match too. I was so pissed off. I remember I threw my water bottle, the big jug by Coleman, where you go camping with, the huge one. And then my parents, they took a couple laps because they know how pissed I was. And then I remember my dad just saying like, Daniel, I think you're finished. I think 테니스는 여기까지만 하면 좋을 것 같다.
Oh, that was like the end of your tennis career.
Yeah, my dad was just like, Daniel, I think the road is up to here.
How did you feel about it?
Well, I gave him the like, yeah, well, I think you're right too. Like out of, hey, I think you're right. Oh, 아빠 맞아. Like, you know, out of like frustration.
Yeah.
But in my heart, I kind of realized too that like my mental is not there to go to collegiate level. What they say is the jump from like just amateur juvenile to collegiate is pretty big, but from collegiate level to pros is like a factor of 5.
Really?
Yeah, that gap is even bigger then. So then I knew, okay, right. And my dad said, like, study on your academics now. Like, stop spending so much time on tennis now.
Okay. And
I agreed. Yeah, it wasn't contentious. I just knew in my heart. And then from there, I stopped fighting for every point. And this was, I think, maybe my senior or high school, or maybe my senior year in high school. So then, in the beginning, I was the freshman sensation, but by the end,
what are you?
I was playing doubles.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was playing doubles.
Oh, such highs and lows.
But I still carried the team. Yeah, I was still the captain, and I still like co-captain, but I was still carrying the team spirit. I basically turned into a cheerleader now that I think about it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because in the back of my heart, I was just getting ready for a university, and I was just like, I think we talked about IB and AP, right?
Yeah.
Course load, and so my priorities just changed.
Oh,
yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So I had this trauma about like tennis and how much pain it brought me. So when I went to university, I remember a couple friends like, "Hey, do you want to play tennis?" And I was like, "All right." And then, but he was actually pretty decent. So we were rallying.
Yeah.
And then we started getting into, he was like, "Hey, let's play a set." So I was like, "All right, let's jump into it." And we were playing, but I wasn't winning points that easily. And I thought he wasn't that good, or he didn't make it to seem that he was very humble about it. But he was pretty good. He played too.
Mm.
And then, and then I could feel that that angst, that like, I gotta win every point. But then I'm like way overweight, can't get it. Like serves are not going in. And then I realized my competitive spirit, that's gone. Like in sports, I've lost that. I've lost that like intensity to turn on and like to go for every point. But you need that if you're gonna play any sports, and that has to be there. I mean, I think every single guy who has done athletics at some point in his life, when they see like the Olympics, or when they see like professional sports, I think they see not exactly themselves, but like, how do I say it? Like you see your energy in that person who's competing, and like you're kind of getting this teri manjok, which is like, I don't know how to describe it, but if I see tennis match, I get passionate. Like, why would you drop shot that? That's so dumb. Like, why? But you know, it's just, you feel that competitive energy, and it gets you going.
No, I get that too when I watch a soccer game, even though I don't play soccer.
Yeah, it's a fun thing about sports.
Yeah, when I think back at my PE classes, in the UK, there was like this one male PE teacher.
Yeah.
And he was pretty tough, and I think he was also has like very competitive spirit.
Yeah.
And then like when we were preparing to go to the class, like when we were like getting dressed, getting changed in the locker.
Yeah.
And then when some girls were having period, so during that time you could go to a nurse and then get like a ticket to skip the class. So some girls would do that, and then they will tell the PE teacher that they're not attending this class. Then I remember my PE teacher would always really not like that. Would really not like it when you skip it because you have period. And one time he was like, I have my wife, and I have 2 girls, and my wife she says she feels the most enthusiastic when she has period.
What?
And he, for some reason, he would just get so annoyed by it.
Really?
Yeah, and even to this day, I still remember it.
Yeah, that's good.
Because it was something so like, I don't know, striking to me.
Yeah, right? Like when you're young, you remember these one-off comments, right?
Yeah.
Like remember when I was telling you about that coach that was telling me to serve wide? I don't know why that was the first memory that comes to mind, right? Like none of our podcast is like scripted, but you remember these one-off comments.
Yeah.
Right?
And you remember that scene.
Yeah,
and
that
it's
scene.
Something that just like keeps coming back to you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But then if you try to describe it in words, it's just like not the same because you are not there.
Yeah. This is what I was also thinking, that like one thing that I would worry about raising kids in the US is that there's such a big open drug culture that like, I remember even when I was in junior high, there would be like marijuana being spread around, and like it's just such easy access, right? But I think for me, and if I would think forward, I think enrolling kids into sports, getting them very competitive or getting them good enough to find their identity in a sport, it's like a natural way for them to stay off of like substance
drugs.
In the early years. So that's also something that I think about.
It's like a motivation for them to like stay clean.
Yeah, it doesn't even cross your mind because like, you know, if you want to be a good climber, you're not going to be smoking cigarettes in the back, right? That just doesn't.
Or you would want to watch your weight and stuff.
Exactly.
Oh, which is bringing us to
Oh yeah.
So we're supposed to lose some weight because we did a bet with our climbing friend for the mutual interest of all three of us to lose some weight
Yeah.
so that we can feel lighter. And
Yeah, we were talking about like, man, I was telling him like, hey, we spend so much time on climbing. Like, I really want to improve. And that friend was like, well, more than gaining muscle, losing weight is going to have a more tremendous impact on your ability to improve. So I said, I think that's right.
yeah.
So he's like, all right, then you know what? Let's lose some weight. And he was like, the way that I've done it before is that we are going to pay some money up front. And so right now the deal is that we each pitch in $100.
Yeah.
And then whoever loses the most, no, we each have a set weight, that number of kilograms we said we would lose.
It's all different.
Within 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think I said I'm going to lose 5 kilos.
Yeah.
What's 5 times 2.2? Come on, Katie. 10 point something. 10 point something pounds. Roughly, that's what I'm trying to lose in 3 weeks. Katie, you said you're going to, what was your target?
My target is to lose 3 kilos.
So around 6.6 pounds.
During the short span of 3 weeks, we're trying our best. It's been a week so far. And have we made progress?
I think my weight went up.
But we have been, more than anything, we've been trying to like really watch what we eat. So like...
so what have we done thus far?
Thus far, so we only have 2 meals a day.
That's right.
It's no longer 3. And dinner before 6 p.m.
Wow, we've...
Between 6 to 7.
6 to 7. And that's
no
the
later
final.
than that.
And that's the final. No
I
more
know.
food.
And then the thing is, I used to like nibble a lot after we come back home from climbing.
Yeah.
Like at 11 or 12, I would just cook up some udon and then I go to bed like with a full stomach. But now I've stopped all that. So the first time in a long while, when I'm like lying down on my bed, I'm getting this grumbles. Yeah, I'm hungry. And I can't wait for the breakfast the next morning.
Huh. It's gone up though. That's strange. My hypothesis right now is that maybe I'm just making up my excuse, but it seems like your body, when you're starting a diet, you don't see results right away because I think your body wants to stay at homeostasis. I don't know why I'm using these words, but it wants to stay at, it doesn't like change. So maybe our body is adjusting towards it. But then once, for example, we lose 1 kilo, then it's going to continuously lose.
Yeah.
But we have to hit that. Our body has to adjust to this threshold of this new thing we have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do. But I also feel like the what do you call it? The weight thing.
the scale?
Yeah, the scale is not so accurate. I don't have trust in the scale because I feel so much lighter and I can actually see my face is a little bit like thinner. But the numbers say the same. So there's something wrong with that scale.
You know, to everyone listening, this just sounds like excuses after excuses. This is probably what it feels like to be a fitness coach at a gym. You know what? I think this is why. You know what? Next week later, no. That wasn't why. This is why. So we got 2 more weeks.
And
Hopefully.
it's also perfect time because we actually have our wedding shoot the next day.
I thought it was the fitting, the actual wedding shoot.
Oh, no. Yes, fitting. You're right.
Oh.
So in 2 weeks from now, we're going to have for me a dress fitting for me and for you also suit fitting.
Yeah.
And then that's important because once they have like measured your weight, we cannot go back to gaining more weight.
Well, if
we have to stick to it.
If I fail, that's a good excuse. Since I failed, if I lose too much weight, the suit that I measure now, I'll never be able to refit back into it. So if I'm at my constant weight, maybe it's better for the fitting. But you know what? No more excuses. Mizukaru in the mornings.
Yeah, that's been helping a lot too.
Shrink our stomach. And then smaller portion size. Man, that smaller portion size, yeah.
Yeah.
And then at night times, we've been getting into some knowledge sharing,
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So lately, Katie and I have been, we've been interested in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and blockchain technology in general. And so one thing that we realized was that we consume a lot of information around this topic, but we have very little retention of it. And then number two, it's not like practical knowledge. Like a good test for it is, can you teach somebody?
Yeah.
Are you like out loud? Like if a kid were to ask you, what is blockchain?
Yeah.
Are you able to describe it? If the kid was like, ask a follow-up question, why is that? Can you explain it? And I realized that like I fumble for words.
Mm.
I just end up saying, do you get what I'm saying? Which means
Not really.
not really. So in order for us to really master, instead of just listening to information as if it was entertainment, we're going to teach each other. So every time we go to drive to our climbing, it takes like 45 minutes, we try to lecture each other.
Yeah, about what we learned.
Yeah.
And also we are doing our own little study group. So we are reading through this book together.
Yeah. What book is it now? It's Mastering Bitcoin, by Andreas Antonopoulos.
Yeah.
His books are the best. Yeah. This has been very helpful. I like this switch up in style. Instead of just reading passively, it makes you learn actively.
And also I think by speaking out loud and also listening to your understanding of like what we read, also like makes me think of all these other derivative questions.
Yeah.
And which I can like Google or look further into. So it kind of helps me branch out too and just have a more complete picture of like this new field that we are learning.
Yeah. Because I feel like blockchain technology, it gives you a headache. It's so new, it's very complex, and you really got to sit down with, okay, so I know a lot of people that just talk the buzzwords.
Buzzword like?
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like what kind of buzzwords do people talk about? Well, like, decentralized, consensus,
proof of work.
But do you actually really understand what the mechanics are? So I guess what we're trying to do, because in that previous podcast episode, we talked about learning like the first principles.
Yeah.
And learning the mechanics about how blockchain works, which means actually I'm not looking at code, but I'm starting one layer above code, right? Like how the unspent transactions, how they're routing to each other, how the whole network is put together, learning the data structures, learning et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Starting with the building blocks and learning those really well, and then all the other stuff on top. So I want to spend like 5 to 6 months just learning the basics really strong.
Yeah.
That way in the future of all the other derivative, technology that will be built on top, you'll know it. Like, for example, do you know how the internet works? Right? There's there's TCP, IP. Do you even know what that means?
The data layer.
I'm not asking you, Derek, because I know you know. But for the average person, they just know, hey, listen, for email, you just put the person in. They know how to use it, but they don't know how it works, right?
Yeah, but this is actually a very important, like fundamental, like interview questions I get too as a web developer.
Oh, okay.
Because even though I never have to concern myself with that, in my day to day, it's like basic knowledge that you should be aware of.
So that's where a lot of our attention is going at nighttime. Actually, it's a matter of fact, we got 5 minutes left, and I got to go read my book. And it's very, very interesting.
So interesting that we fall asleep very easily.
So we've been brewing coffee, like home brewed coffee, and I thought, like, since we're drinking so much coffee lately, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. But reading Mastering Bitcoin at 12:30, bam!
I have no problem sleeping.
No problem sleeping.
Sometimes I have like 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
Still no effect.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Are we really studying it? No, we
man.
are. We are.
I forgot to say that. Hey, today's episode
Oh
brought
yes.
to
What
you by
happened? This is a post ad.
brought to you by Gochujar. I think we just end it there.
Thank you, Gochujar, for sponsoring this video. And then we're out.
Neighbors, today we talked about random memories of interactions we've had. They could be really one-off. Just things that caught our breath. Think about those. Think about them. Relish them. Have yourself a cup of grapefruit juice. That's what I've been drinking right now. Maybe that's why I'm not losing weight. I gotta not drink this fruit juice.
Yeah,
drink water at night.
That's right. We need to cut down on our sugar.
That's right. Sugar. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.